Right, folks, we're back with another Premier Injuries Daily Update. This is part 2. So I'm only covering news updates from Friday's press conferences. If you want news on the 4 managers that spoke on Thursday, that is covered in part 1 video. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. Now, lots to get through, so let's crack on. Arsenal, we've heard from Mikel Arteta. It's basically a clean bill of health. The only absentee is Reece Nelson. That's a thigh problem. He's been sidelined for a couple of weeks, and it could actually be after the international break before he comes back in contention. So that might mean that the Gunners are unchanged for the 4th consecutive game. Last time I've got a great result down there at the Vitality against Bournemouth. Aston Villa, Steven Gerrard, again, we just have one absentee down there, and that's one we're fully aware of. It's Diego Carlos. He's had surgery on that ruptured Achilles that he picked up against Everton. The likelihood it's going to kick him out for a large chunk of this season, despite Gerrard saying that he hopes he's still going to play a major part. I wouldn't expect to see the defender back before certainly February, possibly even March. Ludwig Augustinsson, he missed out in the Carabao Cup. Slight tweak in that knee. He's been cleared. He has returned to training, so he's fine. For Brentford, Thomas Frank, a couple of injuries there. First off, we've heard that Christoph Ayer, he had surgery on his hamstring earlier in the summer. He came back for the B team on Friday, so he isn't too far away from being involved with the first team squad. That's purely coming down to a fitness-based decision. However, Sergi Canos, that is also a hamstring-related issue. He's going to be a few weeks away, while Ethan Pinnock, knee problem. Again, another significant spell on the sidelines. Nothing definitive with regards to that. Roerslev and Lewis Potter, they both picked up minor knocks in the Carabao Cup. They've both been cleared for a return. The Seagulls, they made 11 changes this midweek, so I expect Graham Potter to revert back to the 11 that won at West Ham. Again, no fresh injury concerns. Jakob Mulder out until early 2023, while Jeremy Sarmiento, knee, is hoping to rejoin the squad from next week. Now, Chelsea mixed update. The good news, Mateo Kovacic is back in contention. He has been seen on the training pitches this week. However, Thomas Tuchel confirms that the midfielder is only ready for around about 20 minutes. So that suggests that either Conor Gallagher or Ruben Loftus-Cheek will sit alongside Jorginho this weekend. And N'Golo Kante, that hamstring injury is a little bit worse than initially thought. We did cover this on the video. Initially, we said around 4 to 6 weeks with that one, given the mechanism and how that happened. Thomas Tuchel says we're looking at 4 weeks plus for that. So, yeah, that's disappointing. That's going to be after the international break, which means that we won't see the Frenchman before October. Crystal Palace, no change in the treatment room. Very little to go on from Patrick Vieira these days, but we do know that Nathan Ferguson, James McArthur and James Tompkins, they're all out of contention. There was no mention of Jack Butland. He picked up that hand fracture during pre-season against Manchester United. We understand that he is still going to be out. Heard from Frank Lampard early doors. Couple of big talking points there. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it's too soon for him, but he's hoping to rejoin the squad on the training pitches from next week. Now, even if that does happen, it looks as if the Merseyside derby will come too soon, but all being well, games after that are a strong possibility. Tom Davies withdrawn in the warm-up, complication or a complaint in his groin while warming up midweek. He's hoping to be back in contention. Now it's going to be a toss-up at who starts in that midfield, you would think, between him and also Onana, and that comes down to whether Frank Lampard thinks that the new signing is fit enough for the rigours of the Premier League. Now Fulham, Marco Silva and Niskins Cabano, he's the only one that's really close to return. That's a groin problem. We've seen Stansfield coming last weekend. Marco Silva didn't sound overly optimistic of a return for Cabano. He said he's not 100% ruled out. He's getting checked on a day-to-day basis, but that could mean that Stansfield keeps his place. Of course, Solomon and Harry Wilson, they're both long-term absentees. For Jurgen Klopp in Liverpool, the Reds, the treatment room, not much change there. I'm afraid. However, there is good news on the horizon. The likes of Curtis Jones, Joel Matip, Thiago Alcantara, Kelleher, they're all players who are on the cusp of rejoining the group and training probably from next week. So that's good news to ease some of that burden. On the bad side, on the flip side to that, Naby Keita, he picked up a muscle injury on the eve of the Manchester United game. Assessments continue and there's still no kind of definitive diagnosis or time frame with regards to his absence. So disappointing on that front. So he misses out again. We were hoping to have something from Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. We do know that Jack Grealish and Nathan Ake both missed that charity fundraising game in Barcelona on Wednesday night. And we also seen injuries to Calvin Phillips, a shoulder problem, and also Betete, if I've got that right. That was a head injury. City have a training session scheduled for Friday afternoon after the press conference, and Pep, dealt with all of those questions with regards to team news with a straight bat. And he said, we won't know where we are until after that session. So not a lot to go on there. For Manchester United, Anthony Martial picked up an Achilles problem on his return to the side on Monday night. Obviously, that's coming off the back of that hamstring issue, at latest in a long line of setbacks. So he is definitely out of the game. Ten Hag wasn't able to give any kind of return to play a time frame with that. That may open the door for Ronaldo. It remains to be seen. Elsewhere, we're not really expecting much change. Victor Lindelof remains on the sidelines. For Newcastle, came through a bruising encounter with Tranmere Rovers on Wednesday evening. Jamal Lascelles, that looks to just be a little bit of a bloody nose. No break in there, so he should be absolutely fine. Ryan Fraser, back-related problems, and also the latest one, a groin. He should be very, very close to a return. Emil Kraft, now that looks to be a serious one. He's been sent for a scan on Friday afternoon amid speculation of quite a serious setback with that knee. Certainly some ligament damage in there. It just comes. We're waiting on a prognosis for that, but Eddie Howe admits that it doesn't look good. Dan Burn, he'll have one more session to come through. If that's the case and he comes through without any problems or reaction, he will be in contention. Interesting to see if Matt Targett is thrown back into that starting 11. He played 45 minutes against Tranmere. So it'll be those two players vying for that starting place, with Botman and Shaw as the central pairing. And of course, Callum Wilson. Bad news with regards to the striker. He limped off against Manchester City with a hamstring-related injury. It's not serious in the grand scheme of things, but certainly it's going to be 2 to possibly 3 weeks on the sidelines. Now, that will keep him out for several matches. Whether he returns before the international break remains to be seen, but that's very disappointing. That's probably tied in with the new signing of Isaac, who has been registered before the 12 p.m. Premier League deadline for this weekend's game, so he could feature down at Molineux. However, given his lack of time with the squad, I would expect Chris Wood to lead that Newcastle front line down there. We haven't heard from Steve Cooper as yet, but if I recall, Forrest made 11 changes in the Cup, going quite well, so it wouldn't surprise me if there were very few changes to the starting 11 that played in the Premier League last time out. Jack Colback is one who has returned to the training pitches. He had quite a nasty illness, so he isn't fully integrated with the squad. But, it depends on what happens over maybe the next 24 hours. That will determine whether he's included in the matchday squad or not. Now, on our last video, I did mention the fact that Alistair Gold had talked about a potential injury for Ivan Perisic. There was certainly no mention of that from Antonio Conte on Friday, which is great news. He did, however, mention a couple of those fringe players who will be assessed, Lucas Moura and Brian Gill. They both missed sessions on Friday. With regards to Christian Romero, it's going to be too soon. He's not due back to train fully until next week, along with Oliver Skip. So that should mean that Davinson Sanchez is locked in for one more game, or possibly even 2 more games. For Wolves, you've got long-term absentee Chiquino, that's ACL. Willie Bolly missed out in the Carabao Cup, but he has trained on Friday, so he's back in contention to give Wolves a full complement of players. And as for West Ham, we haven't heard from David Moyes. Of course, he played Viborg in the Europa Conference League on Thursday night. Vladimir Soufal, he should be fine. David Moyes said the only reason he wasn't involved in that European tie was because of the concussion protocol. He would have completed that by Sunday's game, so he is available for selection. Craig Dawson, probably a little bit too soon. And Nayev Agard, well, we know he's a long-term absentee after ankle surgery. So that's it for part 2 of your press conference roundup. By all means, send any questions across to @Ben_Dinnery. You can check out our posts at Premier Injuries. That's all on Twitter. And also you can check out the table at premierinjuries.com. That's it for now. Have a great weekend. Good luck, everyone. And we'll see you all again very soon.